Hey, gang, college football is already back. Pro football season just around the corner. I'm psyched. Bet Parks Casino and Sportsbook has me psyched. I'll tell you what, it's kind of funny. I've been discussing my television viewing habits recently. Totally into Hard Knocks. Hard Knocks is with, I'll say, Gangrene this season. A $50 wager on Gangrene in the Jersey Meadowlands pays $850 to win it all. KC, a $50 wager to win it all, pays $300. Philly, a $50 wager to win it all, pays $350. So KC and Philly, the favorites, I guess, for a repeat of the big game. I love the TV show on Netflix right now that chronicles the whole Tim Tebow, Urban Meyer era of Florida, University of Florida, the Gators. They're not favored. A $50 wager on Georgia to win it all pays $110. $50 wager on Alabama pays $300. There's a lot of competition at the top of college football, as there always is. Anyway, make those pro and college football futures bets right now. Bet Parks Sportsbook app, the only that I recommend. This is for real sports fans in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Ohio, and Maryland. Join me right now and download the Bet Parks Casino and Sportsbook app. New customers make a $10 bet, get $125 in bonus sportsbook bets back. Must be a winning bet, and bonus bets must be wagered once. Bet Parks, you've got to be 21 and in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Ohio, or Maryland. Do what I do. Have a little skin in the game. Enjoy yourself. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Time now for more of the headlines from Smerconish.com, the Monday edition of the newsletter. From SB Nation today in the newsletter. I love this story. I also love the thumbnail as we describe it for today's YouTube conversation. Donald Trump has supposedly won another club championship, according to a post that he made on Truth Social. He claimed to have won the senior club championship at Trump National in Bedminster, his course, the same course where Live Golf recently hosted a tournament. Cameron Smith won. Phil Mickelson had a disastrous Sunday but had been playing well. But here's the kicker. Trump, playing at the Senior Club Championship, says that he shot a 5 under 67. He shot a 67 on the par 72 layout.
Yes, he did.
A remarkable score for an amateur golfer. SB Nation couldn't resist saying it is unclear if that was a net or gross score or if he just kicked the ball into the hole a few times. The 45th president carries a handicap index of 2.5, according to the United States Golf Association's Global Handicap Information Network. The acronym is GHIN, GIN. He has not posted a score since 2021. Golfers should post their scores every time they play to keep the legitimacy of their handicap. TC, my favorite part is his statement.
Okay, go ahead.
I am pleased to report, for those that care, that I just won the Senior Club Championship. You've got to be 50 years or older at Bedminster, shooting a round of 67. Quote, now some people will think that sounds low, but there's no hanky-panky.
No, he didn't say hanky-panky. He said hanky-lanky.
Oh, is there
Unclear
a difference?
why,
right.
That's what he said.
My favorite line, many people watch. Plus, I'm surrounded by Secret Service agents, as if the Secret Service is there to keep track of his score.
Right. Well, they couldn't be any hanky-lanky or panky due to the Secret Service.
Not much you can do, even if you wanted to, and I don't. For some reason, I am just a good golfer / athlete.
It's the best.
You think of lots of things when you see him. Athlete is not at the top of the list.
Hey, you know what? He is just a natural.
I have won many club championships, and it is always a great honor. It is a great honor.
The lady doth protest too much, as they say. I have many questions about this. Let's start at the beginning, and that would be the thumbnail for today's YouTube.
Yes.
I go away for the weekend, and you just get ripped. I mean...
I said,
I looked at that picture. I was like, damn.
I said to the boys at Creative, I think Randy created it. I said, here's my idea. Okay, I have a headline, and I want it to say, Trump shoots 67, Smerconish joins PGA Tour. put me in golf attire.
Right.
They put me like with Chris Cuomo's body.
It's hysterical.
Yeah.
Yes.
Damn. Gives me something to aspire to.
Wow.
I know.
All I'm going to say is wow.
I
look at that and I was like, he really he's
I know.
lifting.
I looked at that.
Yeah, look at that.
I know.
Look at that on YouTube.
Okay, that is not me. Well, actually, I'll just be Trumpian.
Hey, the color's great.
I'll be Trumpian.
Yeah.
I mean, hey,
Look
I
at
got
that.
Secret Service around me. Do you think I would gin up that image
Right.
of myself?
Right.
Actually,
I'm an athlete.
Saturday, I want to tell you this. Saturday post, this relates to Trump's handicap.
Oh.
Post CNN, I hustled right over to a local golf course where I met my friend Mike Baldini, and the two of us played golf together.
Fun.
And on the first tee, this is like 1 hour post CNN show. It is a par 4, slight dogleg left, probably a hole that is, I don't know, 350, 375 yards.
Okay.
So I hit a screaming drive on my first shot right into the adjacent practice round.
Damn.
4.
Damn.
Okay, that's the way my round started.
Oh boy.
Okay. The first of my mulligans was then taken, and my second drive was, frankly, a beautiful, like not Trumpian, like a beautiful shot on the right side of the fairway, which caused it to then bounce right into the center of the fairway.
Wait,
are you
those,
with me?
No, wait. Are those your golf clubs?
Yeah, those are my head covers. Yeah. Yeah. You've never seen those
You're
before?
on the bus, huh?
Huh? I'm the only. Suffice it to say,
by the way, they're great
I'm the only one
at that particular country club.
I'm the only one at that establishment. No one said country club, TC.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm the only one at that particular golf venue who has those head covers. You have to be watching YouTube to appreciate.
dying.
Yeah, those are my dancing bear head covers.
Oh, yes, they are.
Aren't they beautiful?
They are beautiful.
Yeah, somebody got me one of them, and then for Christmas, I think I got all the others.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Okay.
love those. All right, anyway,
Okay, back to your golf.
Okay,
Back to your
so
golf. Okay,
I take a mulligan.
You got the shank. You got the mulligan.
I have a mulligan, and now I have a gorgeous drive,
Gorgeous.
and now I'm in the center of the fairway,
Okay.
and I'm like 160 or so out, and I pull out a 7-iron, nice shot, right up to sort of the lip of the green in some rough adjacent to sand. And now I think I chip up, and I either, being honest, 2 or 3 putt.
Okay.
So something really unusual. So for me, I end up ignoring the initial drive. I end up with like a bogey on the first hole.
Okay.
Not bad. If I could play bogey golf always, I'd be ecstatic.
Okay.
What was unusual is that
Ignoring the mulligan.
ignoring the mulligan. Well, come on, you get a mulligan per 9 or per 18. So what was unusual is that I'm playing with Mike, my friend of many, many years, and we have a caddy.
Okay.
I don't normally have a caddy, but I have a caddy. His name is Mike. It was Mike, and Mike. So the caddy had just witnessed what he had witnessed. By the way, he's been a caddy for 44 years.
He's seen it all.
He's seen it all. He knows things.
Yes.
He knows things. Tells me a story. He was involved in some cell phone incident, and his phone went off. And
he could write a book, but he'd have to leave town.
So he doesn't know me.
Okay.
He's never seen me golf.
Okay.
And I say to him, hey, what do you think my handicap is? He's just seen what I have truthfully described to you.
Got it.
So he says, I think you're about a 14.
Oh, you were happy with that.
I was like ecstatic.
You were thrilled.
And I said,
You're like double that sucker.
And by the way, I haven't recorded. I'm like Trump. Trump hasn't recorded since 2021. I don't think I've recorded since pre-pandemic.
Okay.
I'm probably a little better than this. But and I think you can look me up. I think you can look me up if you're a golfer. I'm a 27.
Right. That's why I said
I'm
double
a freaking 27 handicap. And I don't know whether I should record and try and bring it down or just wear it.
Yeah. I think you should record.
You do.
Absolutely.
And try and bring it down.
Sure. Yes.
Because most of the times I'm just out there for shits and giggles and to take a nice walk on a sunny day.
Recognize that if you're recording it, you can't take mulligans. Like that, right? And
yeah.
And when you say like you say like 2 or 3 putt, it has to be one or the other. You see what I'm saying to you?
That's why I'm not sure I want to do it.
Maybe you don't do it. Maybe you just trumpet.
I just want to say this.
Trumpet.
I believe that today I think I'm probably about no less than, but I think I'm probably about a 20.
A 20? Well, hey.
Yeah, I think I'm about a 20.
Going in the right direction.
I think I'm about a 20, but I don't know whether to really engage myself in this and try and bring it down and record, because I want to take the mulligan. I want to take the mulligan.
Then you cannot
And by
record.
the way, and if I get up there on the green and I 2 or 3 putt, I might, if there's nobody behind me, I might drop another ball and say, I'm going to try that again.
Oh, okay. You do.
So what do I do?
You just do that.
Do you want more headlines from Smerconish.com, the newsletter?
I'm just fine. Yes.
So I said that I did this after the Saturday CNN program.
Yes.
I really enjoyed one particular substantive segment on CNN. Selena Zito, who's a friend of the show and is really great, and a Trump whisperer, was my guest. She writes for the New York Post and the Washington Examiner and for herself. Kristen Tate, I'd never had on the program before, but she was from the Hill. And we talked about the debate. I mean, I know you were away, but you watched the debate.
Yeah, sure.
And the critical sequence of the debate for me was that you had everybody on that stage embracing Mike Pence's role
Constitution
relative to January 6th.
Yes.
And then comes the question, entirely predictable, which is, if Trump is convicted and he's your party standard bearer, will you nevertheless be for him? And 6 hands go up. Christie's hand didn't go up. Asa Hutchinson's hand didn't go up. But like, how can you have it both ways? You can't have it both ways. David Firestone wrote a piece to which I connected over the weekend at Smerconish.com, he from the New York Times. One by one, some with a little hesitation, 6 hands went up on the debate stage Wednesday night when the 8 Republican candidates answered whether they would support Donald Trump for the Republican presidential nomination if he was a convicted criminal. Hand raising is a juvenile and reductive exercise in any political debate. I disagree. It gives you in a snapshot what you need to know, but it's worth unpacking this moment. And then he goes on to analyze it, and he says 6 people who themselves want to lead their country think it would be fine to have a felon as the nation's chief executive. 6 candidates apparently would not be bothered to see Trump stand on the Capitol steps in 2025 and swear an oath to uphold the Constitution, no matter if he'd been convicted of a jury for violating that same Constitution. And then he lists the possible choices. So like that segment, Chris Christie said something similar in one of his Sunday morning appearances, which I took note of. We've had a number other things from the weekend that caught my eye, and I've just wanted to sound off on. We've had a number of conversations here about the whole trans issue, kids, acceptance, lack of acceptance. I've said repeatedly, I don't understand how this just gets to be such a burr in people's saddle, and they volunteer vitriolic comments about individuals in transition. 2 rockers over the weekend caught my eye from stories. One was Carlos Santana, who in the middle of a concert in New Jersey just feels obliged. Like, why you're playing your songs and you're on tour, and then why all of a sudden do you say, when God made you and me, before we came out of the womb, you know who you are and what you are. Later on, when you grow up and you see things and you start believing that you could be something that sounds good, but you know it ain't right, because a woman's a woman and a man's a man, and that's it. Whatever you want to do in the closet, that's your business. I'm reading this story this weekend, and part of the reason that I flagged it to put it in the newsletter is that there was a story of like a 14-year-old gay committed suicide over the weekend.
Oh, the LGBTQ community youth suicide rate is astonishing. It's awful.
And
it's just awful.
Don't people like Carlos Santana see that their hostility is going to keep that 14-year-old in a place where he need not be? And I know I'm blending together trans with what I just said with homosexual, but I'm putting it all under the LGBT.
Trans is not gay. Gay
you
is
know
different
what I'm
from
saying.
Trans. I get what you're saying. I also think it just makes other people behave just as badly. I mean, that's the problem. And who I don't understand it.
I don't understand it either.
Does he feel threatened in some way?
I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
I wish you would know someone that was gay or trans.
And then Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
Alice Cooper has, you might not have noticed the subtlety of this, but Alice Cooper, one of his hits was "No More Mr. Nice Guy." So my headline for Smerconish.com over the weekend was Alice Cooper is no more Mr. Nice Guy. But he too got on this kind of
kick.
I remember this is kind of a funny thing. I remember when I was a kid, my cousin Nick My cousin Nick was so into Alice Cooper. And Alice Cooper in his concerts used to dress in drag, as I remember, and had eyeshadow and so on and so forth. And I remember, like, concerns.
Wait, are you going to start singing?
No, not today.
I got reports.
But I remember like the concerns about cousin Nicky and is he okay? And who's this Alice Cooper guy?
No.
And like my cousin Nick today is this very successful businessman in the Western United States and extremely conservative.
So
extremely
funny.
Conservative.
Yeah.
And today, Alice Cooper is like extremely conservative. So you just never know, I guess, what one's politics might end up being.
Wow.
I need to ask about Woody, your father,
yeah,
and this Washington Post story about pilots over the weekend, which we linked to at Smerconish.com, I think through the Daily Mail because we didn't want to duplicate coverage. Federal authorities have been investigating nearly 5,000 pilots suspected of falsifying their medical records to conceal that they were receiving benefits for mental health disorders and other serious conditions that could make them unfit to fly, so say documents and interviews. They did a crosstab here to look at individuals who would know about this is our own Joe, who is our digital media manager and is a helicopter pilot.
Sure, he's on the other side of it.
Yeah. So, not wrapped up in this issue, but I'm just saying would be very knowledgeable
about it. The most
honest
man.
But they cross-tabbed the records and they found that individuals who were claiming disability relative to the VA for their medical service now are flying in many instances commercially and not saying a word.
Yeah. So my father is not involved in any of this and is not going to weigh in on any of this on the record, obviously. But he is indeed and has been for years an FAA examiner. So he does all the flight physicals for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pilots. They fly into Raleigh and get their checkup with him. He has been doing this for ages. All I can say is he said to me yesterday that the VA has really good benefits and they pay and pay and pay. And so one of the lines that jumped out at me in the Washington Post piece and I think is really interesting is that they're playing both sides so that they're getting the benefits but also want to fly. I'm hopeful that it's more a financial thing and not a medical thing. In other words, I'm hopeful that it is just an attempt to get money, not making us not endangering us in any way for the pilots that are flying.
The pilots,
that's coming from TC, not my father, who is not involved.
To circle back to how this began, the pilot union or association, their professional trade group, they want a mulligan. They want sort of an amnesty now.
Yeah, they're like, okay,
let's wipe the slate clean.
The little box was too small, and maybe we didn't understand.
I was interested to see what are the boxes.
Right.
By the way, TC's father previously rejected me on my flight physical for my ophthalmic migraines, which I get usually 2 a year and cause temporary dizziness.
Let me just tell you, my father is legit the most honest man in the history of the world.
Right. He wouldn't clear me to fly.
There's no shenanigans.
Right.
Like, whatever is the rule, he's following it.
What boxes do you have to check?
Yes.
Frequent or severe headaches, dizziness or fainting spell. See, I don't think I would. I
wouldn't think
I would
of
check
that. No.
Unconsciousness for any reason, eye or vision trouble except glasses. That I think I'd have to check.
I think you would have to. And
I think that was the one that flagged it with Woody.
Okay, he didn't. You're not trying.
Oh,
to
I remember that. I remember that and coughing twice.
Oh, geez.
Hay fever or allergy, asthma or lung disease, heart or vascular trouble, high or low blood pressure, stomach, liver, or intestinal trouble, kidney stone or blood in urine, diabetes, neurological disorder, epilepsy, seizure, stroke, paralysis, mental disorder of any sort, depression, anxiety, etc. That's the biggie where these pilots are in trouble.
Interesting.
Substance dependence or failed a drug test ever. Substance abuse or use of illegal substance in the last 2 years. That's interesting because you wonder about the whole weed issue.
Yeah.
Alcohol dependence or abuse, suicide attempt, motion sickness requiring medication. Military medical discharge, medical rejection by military service, rejection for life or health insurance, admission to hospital, other illness, disability, or surgery, medical disability benefits. I'm not saying that these are all...
medical disability benefits, that's the big one.
Right.
That's the big one.
Yeah.
Because that's where the VA is...
Yeah, they're collecting it,
paying.
but they're not revealing.
Correct.
So I'm not saying that any of these is a preclusion. Some obviously would be, but these are the things you've got to put on that form.
You then have to discuss them with the doctors.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Wow.
Finally, the kiss.
We don't have time.
I know we don't have time, but
that breakdown is so interesting.
There's a great piece at Smerconish.com today from The Athletic. If you're wondering about the Spanish soccer president and the player that he kissed on the lips, it wasn't just her. I mean, there was a lot of activity going on there.
There was kissing, there was hugging, there was lifting.
And he's not backing off. He's saying, I am not going to. She consented. She says, I didn't consent.
She lifted me. I didn't lift her.
I zaprudered the film. It gets unclear. Anyway, there's a lot of great stuff at Smerconish.com. Make sure you go check it out and vote on today's poll question, given that it's the 60th anniversary of MLK's I Have a Dream. Are people judged today more by the color of their skin or the content of their character? Go vote on that. Big announcement coming relative to Smerconish.com. I'm going to make it either tomorrow or on Wednesday.
Oh my.
You'll want to be tuned in for that. See ya.